Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to make the Final Frost Beanie. It's a free pattern that you'll find on mooglyblog.com. You can find a link to the pattern tutorial in the description right under the video, where you'll find links to the pattern itself and the chart and the pom-poms and the needle, or rather the hook, I should say, by Brittany Needles, and the yarn, of course, which is by Red Heart. It's Chic Sheep by Marley Bird. It's a gorgeous, luxuriously affordable yarn, a great superwash merino wool. So once again, you'll find links to the pattern and all the supplies if you look in the description. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the Final Frost Beanie has a couple of different sizes, both small and large, and a couple different versions: ponytail, slouch, and then of course the standard one. So for this video, I'm just going to demonstrate how to make the standard size small. And you can check the written instructions for the other variations. It's just small differences, really. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to begin with a magic circle. So I'm going to take the tail end of the yarn and wrap it over my finger towards me twice. That's how I like to start my magic circles. Then I'm going to go in with my 5.5 millimeter hook, pull up that second loop from behind, and yarn over and pull through, sort of like a chain, but when I pull it down tight, you can see it hasn't added any height, but my circle is nice and formed together there. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and start crocheting. I'm going to chain 2, 1, and 2, and this chain 2 will not count as a stitch for this pattern. After that, I'm going to work 12 double crochets right into the ring. So when I work into the ring, I want to make sure I go under both of those loops, just like that, when I make my stitches. And that will allow me to tighten up that ring when I'm all done making my stitches. So there's one double crochet. I've got 11 more to go. So I will make a total of 12 double crochets in the ring, and that will be our first round. If you are making the ponytail version or the messy bun version, you'll skip ahead several rounds according to the written instructions. So this is just getting us started. And I like to use the oops, dropped it right off my hook. I like to use the adjustable ring here because it gives me a nice tight center. But if you're not a fan of the magic circle, adjustable ring, all the same thing. If you're not a fan of that, then you can definitely use a different starting method if you prefer. Some people like to chain and join those chains to make a little circle. Other people like to work into one slip stitch, or one slip knotted, I guess a loop of a slip knot, and close that up. Whatever format works for you. If you do choose to put a pom-pom on the top of your Final Frost Beanie, as I did, honestly, it's going to be covered up anyway. So however you're comfortable starting your circle is great. Now, since I've been chatting away, I've lost count. So let's see how many double crochets I've made. Remember that first chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so we'll just count the tops here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Just one more to go. I was so close. So we'll go back in for that last double crochet. Still want to make sure that I'm going under the circle part and that tail end, because now that I've got those 12 made, I can just take that tail end and pull. And you can see that closes right up. And to keep that magic circle secure, I just want to make sure to weave that end in really well, going the same direction and then back in the opposite direction as well. And that will help secure that circle and help keep it closed really well. So to finish it off, I will just work a slip stitch right into the top of that first double crochet we made. Remember, not the chain 2. And that is it for round 1. Easy peasy. So to make round 2, we're going to just be making pretty standard flat circle increases. So that means if we worked 12 double crochets in the first round, the second round we're going to have 24 double crochets. We want to increase by the same number we started with. So that means we work 2 double crochets in each stitch of round 2. So just remember that chain 2 does not actually count as a stitch. And there we've got 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and then I'll do the same thing in each stitch around. So I will see you at the end of round 2. All right, so here I am at the end of round 2. You can see I've worked 2 double crochets into each stitch of round 1, so that makes 24 total. So to finish this one off, just as before, I'll just work a slip stitch right into that first double crochet I made. One thing, it is helpful to keep track and count when you are making rounds because it's very easy to accidentally go into the slip stitch and accidentally put more increases in there than you wanted to. So it's always a good idea to stop and count at the end of each row or round. So let's begin round 3. We're going to start again with a chain 2. And then once again, for now, we're just making our standard increases. So that means we'll make 2 double crochets in the very first stitch, since that chain 2 didn't count as a stitch itself. Let's see, whoops, dropped it right off my hook. There we go. There's 2 on that stitch, and then I will make 1 stitch, 1 double crochet in the next one. So then 2 in the next one, 1 and 2, and 1 more in the next one. And that's my repeat all around, so that at the end of round 3 then, we will have increased by another 12, and we will have a total of 36 stitches. So I'll see you at the end of round 3. And here we are at the end of round 3. You can see, if you look closely here, that I've got 2 stitches in one stitch, then 1 stitch in the next. And it's the same way around. 2, then 1, 2, then 1, 2, then 1, for a total of 36. So then we slip stitched that first stitch we made, and then we have just 1 more round before we really get to the interesting textured stitches. So for round 4, very, very similar. We're going to do our standard increases again to get to 48 double crochets. So that means we start with a chain of 2 that does not count as our stitch. Then we work 2 double crochets in the first stitch, just as before, 1 and 2. And then after that, we'll just double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And that will be our repeat. 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. At least that's how I tend to think of it when I'm actually crocheting in a circle like this. That's my mental trick to remember what round or what the directions are. 2, then 1, then 1. And we'll just continue that all around until we have 48 stitches, and then we will slip stitch just as we did before. So I will see you at the end of round 4. All right, and our final frost beanie is coming right along. I have finished round 4, which is the repeat of 2 double crochets in 1 stitch and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2. 2, 1, 1, all the way around. So we've got 48 stitches, and we're ready to slip stitch in that very first double crochet we made. Now, this is where things finally start to get a little bit more interesting. In round 5, we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So that's still going to be 48 stitches. So we're going to start with a chain 1 that does not count as a stitch, and then work a single crochet in each stitch around, and then just join up when that's done. So I'm guessing you know how to single crochet, so I will see you at the end of round 5. Okay, so you can see I've finished round 5, which is just a single crochet in each stitch around. So it causes it to curl up a little bit, but this will straighten out as we work the pattern. It's just curling up a little bit because we didn't increase it all for round 5. We just worked 48 stitches again. But like I said, that will all flatten out as we make our hat, or curve nicely for the shape of a head, I suppose I should say. So let's go ahead and begin round 6 together. Now you can start round 6 with a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this chain of 5 is going to count as a double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Those 3 chains will be the double crochet, and a chain 2, 1, 2. So that's how we'll count those stitches when we're done. So from after we've made our chain 5, then it's time for our first split front post double crochet. And if you've made front post double crochets before, you can just think of this as a double crochet, front post double crochet 2 together with a skipped stitch in the middle. That's essentially what we're doing. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that now. Now I've made this chain 5, and this counts as my first stitch, so I do want to make sure to skip the first stitch, but then I'm going to go to the next stitch 2 rows down. So that would be the second. Remember when we were making round 4 and we had 2 double crochets in that first stitch? We want to skip the first one because that sort of counts as having been worked in there, and come to the second one. So we're going to go around it as we would for a front post double crochet, right behind the post there. Stop with 2 loops left on our hook, yarn over again, skip the next post. Again, we're working into round 4 here, not round 5 single crochets, but the round 4 double crochets. Skip the next one, and then come around the next one after that. And when we've got 3 loops left on the hook, that's when we yarn over and pull through all 3. And that's our front post double crochet 2 together. So a double crochet, front post double crochet decrease, but we're skipping a stitch there in the middle, and that's why it's called a split front post double crochet. From there, we chain 2, 1, 2, and double crochet in the next stitch. So we don't want to go into the double crochet, of course, but we can follow that path right up and find the single crochet right above it. And I'll point out too, in the instructions it says to make sure to skip the 3 single crochet behind the split front post double crochet. So if you're ever confused about where to put that double crochet, you can just flip it over and make sure you've skipped those 3 stitches in between your double crochets that are worked into round 5. So I know that was a lot. Let's keep going. We'll make a few more of these together. I'm going to chain 2 again, 1, 2, then I'm going to yarn over and begin another split front post double crochet. So I want to skip the one that was be under my double crochet, come to the next double crochet from round 4, go around that post for a front post stitch, stop with 2 loops left on the hook, yarn over, skip the next double crochet, come to the one after that, and stop with 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Then we chain 2 again, whoops, 1 and 2, and then I'm just going to double crochet in the next stitch, like so. And then again, I just want to make sure that I have skipped 3 single crochets behind my split front post double crochet, and that's exactly what's happened there. So that is my general repeat all the way around. Of course, when I come to the end here, I'll have a split front post double crochet, a chain 2, and then I'll join to that 3rd chain to even it out. So I'll show you that in a few minutes here when I've gotten all the way around, so we can do that together. But let's make one more split front post double crochet together. I've got my chain 2 after my double crochet, I yarn over, I go around the post of the double crochet 2 rows below, the next one here, stop with 2 loops left on the hook, yarn over, skip the next one, come to the next one, begin another front post double crochet, and then as soon as there's 3 loops left on the hook, that's when I yarn over and pull through all 3. Then it's chain 2 again, and double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 2 again, whoops, 1 and 2, then split front post double crochet. Go around the post of the next stitch 2 rows below, stop with 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, skip the next post, come to the next one, and finish that one up. Chain 2 again, 1 and 2, and then double crochet in the next stitch. And I really do check and make sure almost every time that I'm getting those 3 single crochets skipped in back. And then when we come all the way around, I'll show you how we join this one up. All right, and here I am at the end of round 6. You can see I've got a total of 12 split front post double crochets and 12 regular double crochets worked in between all the way around. And this is the same, I believe, for both sizes. So to join that up, I've made my final chain 2, and I just want to make sure to slip stitch in that 3rd chain. So this is the fiddliest part here. We just get under those 2 loops and slip stitch, and there we are. That's the end of round 6. So let's go ahead and make round 7 together. We're going to start with a chain 1, and then I'm going to work a single crochet in the first stitch. Now once again, because that chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, that counts as our first stitch. So I just want to carefully go back into that chain and make a single crochet. Then I work 3 single crochets in the chain 2 space, 1, 2, and 3. Then I single crochet in the next stitch, which is the top of our split front post double crochet. So you just want to put 1 stitch in the top of there. And then we work, let's see, 2 single crochets in the next one, like so. Then we single crochet in the next stitch, which is that regular double crochet, 3 single crochets in the next chain 2 space, a single crochet in the next stitch, which is that split front post double crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the next chain space. And that is our repeat. And this repeats a little bit longer, so let's do it one more time together. This is where it begins. We single crochet in the next stitch, which is the double crochet. Then we work 3 single crochets in the next chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3. Then single crochet in the front post double crochet and work 2 single crochets in the chain 2 after that. So let's just talk through it one more time. We've got 1 single crochet worked into the plain double crochet, 3 single crochets in the chain 2 after that, a single crochet worked in the split front post double crochet, and 2 after that. So 1, 3, 1, 2. That's how I remember it. And that's what we do, repeating all the way around for round 7. And that will get us to a total of 84 single crochets. So I'm just going to keep working that way all the way around, and I will see you at the end of round 7. All right, and that's the end of round 7. I've worked that repeat, the 1, 3, 1, 2, all the way around for a total of 84 single crochets. So I'm just going to slip stitch right into that very first one we made. I want to make sure I get that one right there, because we'll need all 84 of those stitches. Now, round 8 is where the small and the large diverge. For the small size, you just keep working even from here. We've got pretty much 84 stitches in every row except for our split front post double crochet rows. Those get a little kooky. If you're making the large size, though, in round 8 is where you'll have a small increase to bring it up to 88 stitches. So again, please do check the instructions for that. But if you're making the size small, we're just going to go ahead and chain 2 and then work a double crochet in each stitch around. So once again, that chain 2 will not count as our first stitch, but we're just going to work our double crochets all the way around the hat. So I will see you at the end of round 8. And here I am at the end of round 8. I've got 84 double crochets made because I'm making the small size. If I were making the large, I would have had 4 increases spaced evenly around the hat for a total of 88 double crochets. So at the end of round 8, we just want to join that first double crochet we made with our slip stitch here, and then we're ready for round 9. And round 9 is going to be the same no matter which size you're making. You chain 1 and single crochet in each stitch around. So I will see you at the end of round 9. At that point, we'll work round 10 and a little bit of round 11 together, and we'll have our entire repeat for the rest of the hat figured out until we're ready to make the brim. So I will see you at the end of round 9. All right, and here we are at the end of round 9. I've got a single crochet worked in each double crochet all the way around. Since I'm making the small, I have 84. If I were making the large, it would be 88. So now we're ready for round 10, and round 10 is our split front post double crochet round again, and this is the way it'll be worked for the remainder of the pattern. This one's going to be a little bit different than the previous one we did, round 6, because here we were still increasing a little bit, and here we're working even down the sides of our hat. So now we're going to work it just a little bit differently, but most of the moves are the same. What we're going to do is start with a chain 4 rather than a chain, what was it before, a chain 5. So this time we've just got a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Now those first 3 chains are going to count as our first double crochet, and then that 4th one is going to be a chain 1. Then we're going to make our split front post double crochet. And just as before, we're going to work it 2 rows down around the posts of these double crochets. Just skip right over the singles. And we want to go to the next stitch once again. Remember, we don't want to end up working in the same stitch that our chains count as having been worked above. Then we skip the next one, start a front post double crochet around the next, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Then we just chain 1 and double crochet in the next stitch. Now we're still skipping, let me flip it over here, we still want to skip 3 stitches in back there, but we do keep otherwise working it the same way. The biggest change here is really that it's just a chain 1 in between our double crochets and our split front post double crochets. So that's a hard one to say. Split front post double crochet. There we go. So we just chain 1 in between, but otherwise it's the exact same way all the way around. Just skip that double crochet in between the 2 halves of your front post double crochet decrease. And you'll be all set. And every once in a while I do still like to check and make sure that I'm always skipping those 3 stitches in back, which I am. So I'm well on my way. So I'm just going to continue doing this all the way around. And with the small, that would add up to 21 double crochets and 21 split front post double crochets. If you're making the large, it would be 22 of each. So I will see you at the end of round 10. All right, so at the end of round 10, we'll finish up with a chain 1, and then we want to slip stitch into the third of those 4 chains that we started with. Because you'll remember that chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, so that's where we want to put our slip stitch. And then we're ready for round 11. And round 11 is going to be just a chain 1 and a single crochet in each stitch and a single crochet in each chain 1 space. So we single crochet in each stitch. Don't forget to start with the top of that chain 3, then just 1 in each chain 1 space. So once again, at the end of this one then, we'll have another 84 single crochets. So you see how that, you've seen that, how that looks. And then of course, after that round of single crochet, then we'll have a repeat of the double crochet, then another round of single crochet, and then we're right back to our split front post double crochets. So let me pull up the finished hat here for a minute so we can look at our repeat together. Okay, here's the finished hat, and it's actually made top down, so I'll flip it over this way. And here we are when we're working even. And this is our 4-row repeat. We've got our split front post double crochet row, a row of single crochet, a row of double crochet, another row of single crochet, and then we're back to our split front post double crochets. So that's what we'll just continue all the way down. And for the small, I worked a total of 28 rounds in this repeat, which means I actually finished on a double crochet round before I begun my brim. So on that last repeat, I made the split front post double crochet, a round of single crochet, then a round of double crochet, and stopped there and began the brim. So I'm going to finish up this a little bit so we can demonstrate the rounds for the brim together here. Okay, so I obviously haven't finished my hat quite ready for the brim yet, but when you are making your hat and you do want to add your brim, you want to finish on a double crochet row. So don't make that last round of single crochet in the normal repeat. I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch in that first double crochet I made, and then I'm ready to begin my brim, which is round 29 for the small size, and I believe round 33 for the large. So to begin, we're just going to start with a chain 1 and then a front post double crochet in the first stitch. So not that chain 2, but that first real double crochet we made there is our first stitch that we work around here. So that's a front post double crochet, and then just half double crochet in the next stitch, like that. And that is the basic repeat I've used for this brim. We make a front post double crochet and around the next, yarn over, go around that next post, pull up our loop, finish our stitch, half double crochet in the stitch after that. And that will give us a really nice ribbed brim, because I'm going to do this for 2 rounds, just repeating these 2 stitches all the way around. And then for the final round, I just work half double crochet all the way around and join up, which I'm sure you know how to do on your own. So let's take another look at the finished hat together. Here, if I flip it over, you can see that brim, how it looks when it's all finished. You can see the texture. We've got that ribbing happening with our front post stitches, and then just a round of half double crochet to finish it off. And then the only other thing you can add to this, well, I suppose you could add all sorts of other things if you wanted to, ear flaps, customize it however you want. I decided to add a removable snap-on pom-pom to mine. So let me just get my fingers in there so I can pull this one off. And there we have it. These I purchased on Amazon, and again, I will have a link out to these. Follow the link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, or just scroll down a little bit if you're watching it on the blog, and you'll see links to all the things that you've seen here today, including these great snap-on pom-poms. And I really like these because these are faux fur pom-poms, which if you've worked with these before, even if they say they're washable, I wouldn't wash them. So I really like being able to snap these off and throw this part in the wash. I just sewed this part on with regular thread. I just happen to have some matching thread in my drawer and a sewing needle, so I sewed that on. And the other fun thing then about using these snap-on ones is the set of pom-poms I bought came with a few different colors, so I can actually mix it up depending on the outfit and what sort of look I'm going for that day. I just used gray for all the pictures because the white one's a little bit harder to see, isn't it? But of course, in real life, it looks absolutely gorgeous. So you can play with your pom-poms a little bit with this hat too. Customize it a little bit. Like I said, if you follow the written pattern on mooglyblog.com, there are options where you can do it as a ponytail hat. You just start a little bit lower down and start by crocheting over a hairband and then complete the pattern as written. And then there's also instructions for a slouch version, which just has a couple more repeats in here to make a little bit longer hat. So that is how you make the final frost beanie. I used, once again, a USI hook and Red Heart Chic Sheep by Marley Bird, which is this really gorgeous yarn you see right here too. So if you've liked this video and this pattern, please do give it a like and let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the Moogly Blog channel. Thank you so much for watching.